Our regularly scheduled program has been delayed due to unparalleled stupidity. I love the MCU. From Iron Man to Ant-Man and the Wasp to Avengers Endgame, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been one of the shining examples of my theater-going experiences. There are a ton of contributing factors as to why this groundbreaking experiment paid off in the long run, but many attribute the success of the MCU to one man. No, not him. Him. Kevin Feige has been a powerful voice in creating the much-loved MCU, but did you know he almost quit because of a lack of diversity? Yeah, talk about a first-world problem. This comes directly from the mouth of Mark Ruffalo via IGN. What a reputable source. Ruffalo, not IGN. They get a 7 out of 10 for too much water. Marvel's Kevin Feige almost quit over lack of diversity while making Avengers, says Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo has revealed that Marvel boss Kevin Feige almost quit while making the Avengers due to the lack of diversity and representation within the superhero franchise. In an interview with The Independent, Ruffalo, who has played Bruce Banner in his Hulk alter ego since 2012, recalled an early conversation that he had with Feige in which the MCU helmer admitted he might not be around for much longer, as he planned to talk to Disney about the issue of why there were no female-led superhero movies. When we did the first Avenger, Kevin Feige told me, "Listen, I might not be here tomorrow," he said. And he's like, Ike, Perlmutter, Disney's largest shareholder at the time, does not believe that anyone will go to a female-starring superhero movie. So if I'm still here tomorrow, you will know I won that battle. With the battle clearly won by Feige, Ruffalo cites this pivotal moment as a turning point for Marvel as it triggered the studio's push towards greater inclusion and broader representation on screen, forever changing the MCU landscape. Yay. Kevin wanted black superheroes, women superheroes, LGBT superheroes, Ruffalo added. He changed the whole Marvel universe. We now have a gay superhero on the way, we have black superheroes, we have female superheroes, Scarlett Johansson has her movie coming out, we have Captain Marvel, they're doing She-Hulk next. No other studio is being that inclusive on that level, Ruffalo concluded. They have to, though. This is the fucking world. By the way, real quick, Mark Ruffalo, can you get off of your soapbox, get your head out of your ass, and realize that Blade in 1998, while you were busy making films such as A Fish in the Bathtub, Safe Men, 54, and Houdini, which was a television film, Marvel had a black superhero film, and it was awesome. Can we please kill the narrative that the MCU created the first black superhero? Blade did it 20 years before Black Panther. Thank you. Oh, and maybe Captain Marvel was the first female-led Marvel film, but we had Wonder Woman, Catwoman, Supergirl, and Elektra. So not even within the realm of Marvel proper can Captain Marvel claim to be the first anything. Now, I'm not calling Mark Ruffalo a liar, but I also don't believe him. You know, I try not to get too political in my public life, but I can't say the same for Mark Ruffalo. I looked up his Wikipedia page, and just like any actor, his political activism came up before his filmography, because that's why we like Mark Ruffalo, right? Here's a screenshot of all the shit he says publicly. Enjoy. Has it ever occurred to these people that they needed to lead the MCU off with the most popular heroes available? How's the saying go? Lead with your best foot forward. It's like Mark and all these retroactive Disney Avengers forgot that they, the MCU, were unproven back when they started in 2008. Back then, Spider-Man was the king, but he was at Sony. Batman had just been successfully rebooted with Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight was on the way. Daredevil and the Fantastic Four, they had came and went. And there was a slew of independent comic titles that found varying degrees of success on the big screen. The comic book movie landscape was much different. Yes, Iron Man was a fairly well-known character, but he was a C-list character back then. He never had a movie, and his last cartoon appearance was in the mid-90s. The same went for most of the Phase 1 characters, save for the Hulk, who was locked in his position in the pop culture consciousness thanks to Lou Ferrigno, and I guess the 2003 film. While we're back in 2008, let's take a look at the most popular comic books of that era to see how much Marvel was neglecting the demand for female characters. Well, according to what sold to comic book shops, I'm not seeing anything reflecting the sentiment that the world was clamoring for female superheroes. Not even a single issue of Wonder Woman cracked the top 300. If we jump to 2012, the same year that Feige almost rage quit, the demand barely changes. Looking again at the top 300 books of that year, it's not until you get to number 276 on this list that you find Wonder Woman. And guess where Captain Marvel falls on this list? Spoiler alert, nowhere. Silk Spectre was actually the best-selling female-led comic that year. Surprised? I was. To jump back to my earlier point, the MCU had to start off with the heavy hitters. I highly doubt that leading off with a Miss Marvel movie would have worked out well for the MCU. Black Panther could have worked, but it wouldn't have fit with the narrative that Marvel is making a world a better place for the people of color. I don't like how Feige and the crew are trying to retroactively be Earth's mightiest diversity force. In many ways, it feels like Marvel is trying to use these films to right the wrongs of the past. I really wish that they, Marvel, pronouns pal, would just treat these movies like they are. Products to make money. If Kevin Feige was so worried about diversity, he would have had Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, and Rhodey play a bigger part in Avengers Endgame, the biggest movie of all time. If you're making a movie that you know will reach more people than God, then why not sacrifice money for diversity? Because that's all we care about, right? You can't tell me they didn't know what Avengers Endgame would be back in 2012, when he almost quit the greatest job in the history of the entertainment industry. This double talk bullshit is what's killing the industry. Do you know what happens when you let agenda take the wheel? You get Birds of Prey, and nobody wants Birds of Prey. That's why it failed. No cries of sexism will excuse that film's failure. What we have next for the MCU is Black Widow, the second female-led film, and personally, I'm interested. But I'm not as excited as I would have been pre-Endgame. The character is dead, and it's going to be hard to care about her story when you know the outcome. Side note, I wonder if Marvel will use the Robert Downey Jr. crutch to help carry this film. It worked for Spider-Man Homecoming, but will they try it here? Will it make them look like they have less faith in Black Widow and that they need a man to sell this film? I doubt the media would make that argument because they're pro-Disney. But that's a story for another time. Looking forward, the MCU doesn't look that interesting. I could be wrong, but the Eternals doesn't look like it's going to set the world on fire. I know, you're going to play the Guardians of the Galaxy card. It's just like the Michael Keaton defense when criticizing an actor chosen for a role, aka the wait-and-see approach. But it only works until it doesn't. And I'd like to have a discussion with Jared Leto about his role as the Joker. I'm really hoping that Marvel doesn't fall into the standard blame game tactics that other studios do when a project looks like it will fail. It just failed with Birds of Prey and Ocean's 8 and Ghostbusters and Terminator Dark Fate and, well, you know the rest. I absolutely hate that this is the narrative around movie making these days, and not the actual narrative of the film. What happened to the good old days of good stories superseding the desire or fear of appeasing the Twitterverse? We know that appeasing that audience never works. See Birds of Prey. Though no one else did. So folks, are you as tired as I am about this whole diversity talk? It doesn't sell movies. We know that. We have the proof. We have a bunch of big budget, big franchise films that flop because that is what they marketed. And I'd venture to guess that Marvel is not impervious to that failure. Do I think Black Widow's gonna fail? Hell no. But I don't think it'll perform in the $1 billion club. Why? Because Marvel just feels over at this point. Am I over it? Sort of. But then again, I never really got over the great Marvel comics of the past, like X-Men from Chris Claremont and John Byrne, the old Romita Spider-Man run, and, it's just too much to list. Frank Miller Daredevil. But I digress. I never get tired of the characters, only the message and the agenda of the creators that make these films. And some would even argue that they're not even that creative. But that's a story for another day. So folks, what do you think about Mark Ruffalo's stupid comments? Do you even believe them? I don't. I think he's full of shit. I know Kevin Feige would like to act like he's this great ally for diversity and entertainment, and maybe he is to like 8 people, but to me, he's the MCU's greatest hero. And I really hope he doesn't become the MCU's greatest villain with this new push for whatever they're trying to push at Phase 4. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Phase 4 seems inconsequential. Maybe this is the phase where they're going to try to appease the Twitterati, but they're actually just going to throw stuff out there and not care because the real money's on Disney+, and that's where the most interesting things are going to be placed. But I don't know. What do you think? Folks, thank you for watching. If you want more of us, we're over on Patreon, patreon.com/worldclassbs. For $5 a month, which is only 17 cents a day, you get access to all kinds of exclusive content. We have a huge back catalog of content. Thousands of hours at this point. I don't know. We've been doing it for a couple years now, but we put out a lot of stuff. Every Thursday night, we do World Class Bullshitters After Hours after the podcast, where we get a little spicy. We also do our political show. We do commentaries, roundtables. You can be on the channel if you're a patron, and you have access to all kinds of awesome stuff. Just be on the lookout for the announcements we make. Speaking of announcements, this Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have our big post-Toy Fair live stream, so you're not going to want to miss out on that. It's going to be hosted by me. We'll be joined by Salvador of 2 Cent Toys and our good friend Michael from Retroblasting, and we might have one more big guest, but nothing's confirmed for now. But you don't want to miss out because it's a lot of fun, and we have a couple patrons joining us who are collectors as well. So it's going to be fun. We're going to talk about collectibles. We're going to be talking about all kinds of geek culture stuff. So even if you don't like toys, join us because it's going to be a lot of fun. And remember, folks, the merchandise that is produced is representative of the demand of all of your favorite franchises. You don't like Funko Pops, but they make shit based on The Office? Well, that means there's an audience out there that will buy shit based on The Office. Love Back to the Future? Well, then you've seen a slew of Back to the Future merchandise for the 35th anniversary. Why? Because it's the greatest film of all time, and no one hates that film. Speaking of hate, I've never heard anyone hate on Beverly Hills Cop, yet we don't have an Axel Foley action figure. Oh well, I can dream. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on the way out, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. And one request before we go. If you're a regular, you're already doing it, because I see the Facebook group, and I'm proud of each and every one of you. But if you're new, welcome, and go out into the world and be excellent to each other. Yeah, talk about a first world problem. This comes directly from the mouth of